All right, welcome in, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive on something I know a lot of you are interested in, uh, effective weight loss,
Yeah,
but not the crash diet, feel miserable kind of weight loss.
right.
We're talking about the kind of weight loss that sticks.
Exactly.
We're going beyond the surface here. We're using the Mayo Clinic's 6 strategies for success as our roadmap.
That's a great roadmap to use.
Yeah, you shared this article with us, and it seemed like you're looking for more than just the basics.
Absolutely. This is a great article. I think a
Right.
lot of people get caught up in those fad diets or, those quick fixes, but they don't understand like the science behind it all,
Yeah.
what really works,
Yeah.
how to make it sustainable.
Exactly.
It's about making those lifestyle changes, not just, trying to lose weight quickly.
Totally. So let's jump right into it. The first strategy that the Mayo Clinic talks about is readiness.
Okay.
And they really emphasize the importance of mental preparation when it comes to weight loss.
Which a lot of people overlook, they just want to jump into it. They
Yeah,
want the quick results.
totally. And they have some pretty tough questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you use food to deal with stress?
Yeah. Emotional eating is a big one.
Do you have people in your life that you can rely on for support?
Support's huge.
Are you truly ready to commit to changing your habits? It's like they're saying, look, before you even start thinking about meal plans or what kind of exercise you're going to do,
Right.
let's check if your head's really in the game.
It is a huge point. I think they're spot on with that. And I think so often people focus on the how. How am I going to lose this weight? But the why, right?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it in the first place? That's got to be equally important.
Definitely. If you don't have a strong enough motivation, it makes it so much harder to resist those temptations, those cravings.
Absolutely. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle, right? They're just doing it because they feel like they should or
Yeah.
because someone else is telling them to do it.
But they haven't really connected with their own personal why.
Yeah. Exactly.
So before we go any further, I'm really curious, what's your why? What are those deep down reasons why you want to lose weight?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question for everybody to ask themselves. And the Mayo Clinic actually suggests writing it down, making a list of all of the benefits that you're going to experience from losing
Oh,
weight.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, and keep that list handy, right? Because like we were talking about, those cravings are going to come up, those temptations are going to come up. And so if you can sort of refer back to that list, remind yourself, okay, this is why I'm doing it. This is what I'm working towards. It can really help you stay on track.
I love that idea of a visual reminder, kind of keeps those motivations front and center. Now, one thing that really intrigued me in this article was their emphasis on stress management.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought that weight loss was like primarily about diet and exercise.
Yeah, the food and movement.
But they make a really compelling case for why tackling stress head on is so crucial for success.
There's a physiological reason for that. When you're stressed, your body pumps out that hormone, cortisol. And guess what? It can actually lead to increased belly fat storage. So you're working against yourself when you're stressed.
That's fascinating. It's like your body's betraying you when you're stressed out.
Mhm.
So how do we combat this stress monster? Is it all about meditation retreats? Yeah. Yoga classes? Like what are some practical things that people can do?
Well, yeah, meditation, yoga, those can definitely help. But there are, a lot simpler techniques too. Have you ever heard of box breathing?
I have not.
It's actually a technique used by Navy SEALs
Oh, wow.
to stay calm under pressure. It's really simple. You inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold again for 4, and that's it.
Wow, that's so easy. I love that it's something that anyone can do anywhere. It's not about escaping stress. It's about equipping yourself to manage it better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all have stress, right? It's about how you deal with it.
Totally. So we've got our why figured out. We're armed with some stress-busting techniques. What's next on the Mayo Clinic's list?
Well, realistic goals, I think this is where people go wrong a lot.
Oh, tell me about it.
They're like, I want to lose 10 pounds this week.
Yeah.
Then they don't see the results and they get discouraged.
Right.
The Mayo Clinic recommends 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week.
Okay. That sounds a lot more achievable, but is that really enough to make a difference?
Absolutely. Even losing 5% of your body weight can have a huge impact on your health. It can lower your risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes. It's about those small changes.
So it's not about these drastic overhauls. It's about setting yourself up for success from the start. Speaking of success, strategy number 3 is all about support systems. And I'm a big believer in having a cheering squad, but I wonder, where does relying on others for support kind of cross over into becoming a crutch? Where's the line between that and personal accountability?
That's such a good question, and I think you really hit the nail on the head there. Support is crucial, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't overshadow personal responsibility, right?
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance. So your support system's there to encourage you, they're there to help you stay motivated, but ultimately the decision to make healthy choices, that rests with you.
So it's about finding people who empower you, not enable you.
Exactly. You want people who will, be excited for you when you make progress, but also be honest with you.
Yeah.
Hold you accountable when you slip up. It's a partnership, really.
Okay, I'm getting a clearer picture now. It's not about just handing over the reins of your weight loss journey to someone else.
Right.
It's about finding people who walk alongside you and offer support and encouragement. Great. Now, I have to admit, when I think about weight loss, food isn't always the first thing that comes to mind. I think a lot of people associate weight loss with restriction, deprivation, like, oh no, I can't eat anything good anymore. But the Mayo Clinic's fourth strategy actually focuses on enjoying healthy food.
Isn't that great? I love that they emphasize that because food should be enjoyable. It should be something that you look forward to. They really highlight making fruits, vegetables, whole grains like the foundation of your meals.
So it's not about turning into a rabbit munching on lettuce all day.
No, no, not at all. There are endless ways to make healthy foods delicious.
That's what I like to hear. So it's about finding healthy alternatives that don't feel like you're sacrificing all the things you love. I'm noticing a pattern here. The Mayo Clinic, they're not advocating for extremes.
No.
It's about sustainable changes.
Right.
Things that you can actually incorporate into your everyday life.
Because if you can't stick with it, what's the point?
Exactly. It's got to be something that becomes part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I love that philosophy. It makes this whole weight loss thing feel a lot less daunting. It's like you're making smart choices that are actually going to benefit you in the long run.
Exactly. And it's not a race, right? It's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take time. There's going to be bumps in the road. But the important thing is just to keep moving forward.
Totally.
And be patient with yourself. One thing I find really fascinating about the Mayo Clinic's approach is this emphasis on mindful eating.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about what you eat, but it's how you eat.
Okay.
Think about it. How often do you eat lunch at your desk, scrolling through your phone?
Oh, my gosh, all the time.
Right. You're not even tasting your food.
Pretty much.
We've become so accustomed to multitasking
Yeah.
that we rarely savor our meals. Mindful eating is about bringing that awareness back to the experience.
Okay.
Putting your fork down between bites, chewing slowly, savoring the flavors. That's mindful eating.
So it's like being present in the moment with your food.
Exactly. And when you slow down and you pay attention, you'll actually start to notice your body's natural hunger and fullness cues.
Okay.
So you can prevent overeating. You become more attuned to when you're actually satisfied.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I know I often eat mindlessly, especially when I'm stressed or working on a deadline. Like before I know it, I've finished an entire bag of chips.
Right. And that's where mindful eating can really help because you can start to identify those emotional triggers
Yeah.
that lead to those unhealthy eating habits. It's about breaking those automatic responses
Okay.
and making conscious choices instead.
So it's not about denying yourself pleasure. It's about being more intentional with your food choices.
Exactly.
Speaking of choices, let's move on to something that I think fills a lot of people with dread.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Exercise.
Oh, yeah.
I have to admit, I'm not exactly a gym enthusiast. But the Mayo Clinic's approach to activity isn't about, grueling workouts or marathon training. It's about incorporating movement into your daily life in ways that feel good for you.
Right. It's not about punishing yourself.
So ditching the treadmill for a dance class counts.
Absolutely. They recommend at least 30 minutes of aerobic activity most days of the week.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be all at once. You can break it up into smaller chunks throughout the day.
Like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or walking to a colleague's desk instead of sending an email.
Exactly. And those little bits of movement, they add up. A study actually found that people who fidget frequently burn an extra 350 calories a day.
Wait, so you're telling me that my fidgeting, which I always thought was a bad habit, is actually a secret weight loss weapon?
You could say that, yeah. It's funny how we tend to overcomplicate things. Weight loss doesn't have to be this complex equation. It's often about those simple, enjoyable changes that fit into your existing routine.
I love that perspective. It takes the pressure off. But what about those days when even the thought of taking the stairs feels overwhelming?
Yeah,
Like motivation takes a nosedive, and you just want to curl up on the couch with a pint of ice cream.
I think we've all been there.
Oh, for sure.
And that's where that sixth and final strategy comes in, changing your mindset.
Okay.
And remember those support systems we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
This is where they become crucial.
So like having a friend who will text you with words of encouragement when you're about to give in to that ice cream craving.
Exactly. Having those people who understand your struggles,
Yeah.
celebrate your victories, they can really make all the difference, help you stay accountable, motivated, and focused on your goals.
It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad pushing you forward when you feel like giving up.
Right. But it's not just about external support. It's about developing that inner resilience, too, that ability to bounce back from setbacks. And the Mayo Clinic emphasizes the importance of identifying those past obstacles
Okay.
that have hindered your weight loss efforts.
So it's about like learning from our mistakes, finding ways to avoid repeating them.
Exactly. Let's say you always cave to those late night cravings. Instead of beating yourself up about it, ask yourself, what can I do differently next time?
Okay.
Maybe it's having a healthier snack prepared in advance,
Oh, like that.
or brushing your teeth early to signal to your brain, hey, it's time to wind down.
So it's about being proactive rather than reactive.
Exactly. Instead of feeling helpless in the face of temptation, you're equipping yourself with strategies to overcome it.
I like that. No, setbacks are inevitable, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So how do we view those setbacks not as failures, but as learning experiences?
That's the key. Don't let one slip up derail your entire journey.
Okay.
It's about progress, not perfection.
I love that reframing. It takes the pressure off and allows for a more compassionate approach to the whole weight loss journey.
And speaking of compassion, one thing that often gets overlooked is the power of self-compassion.
Oh, well.
We tend to be so hard on ourselves, especially when it comes to our bodies.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Those negative thoughts can be really debilitating.
Absolutely. But what if, instead of berating ourselves for every slip-up, we treated ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend?
It's such a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of being our own worst critic, we become our own best cheerleader.
Exactly.
But how do we cultivate this self-compassion? Like, is it something we're born with, or is it something we can learn?
It's definitely something we can learn and practice. It starts with becoming aware of those negative thoughts
Okay.
and challenging them. So instead of saying, I'm so fat, I'll never lose weight, try saying, I'm working on making healthy choices for myself, and I'm proud of the progress I'm making.
So it's about flipping the script, focusing on the positive.
Exactly.
But I imagine that takes time and effort.
It does, but the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes,
Okay.
and the rewards are immense. When you approach weight loss from a place of self-love and acceptance, it becomes less about punishment and deprivation, and more about honoring your body and taking care of yourself. Yeah.
I love that. It's about making peace with yourself and your body, regardless of the number on the scale.
Exactly.
It's funny, we've been talking about weight loss for a while now, and I haven't once felt overwhelmed or discouraged. It's like this conversation has given me a new perspective on the whole process.
That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
And that's really the goal, isn't it? Shifting that mindset from one of fear and restriction
Yeah,
to one of empowerment and self-care.
totally. It's about making choices that align with our values and our goals, not because we feel pressured to conform to some like societal ideal.
Exactly. And those choices, those small, consistent actions,
Yeah,
that's what ultimately leads to lasting change. It's not about finding the next quick fix. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your overall well-being.
I completely agree. And a big part of that lifestyle shift involves movement, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about the importance of activity, but I'm curious to know, like, what do you personally enjoy doing to stay active?
Well, I have a confession to make. I used to hate exercise. I thought it was all about sweating and pushing yourself to the limit. And then I discovered Zumba.
Oh, fun.
And it doesn't even feel like a workout because it's so much fun. I get to dance, I get to listen to great music, and I'm burning calories all at the same time.
That's awesome. It's a great reminder that exercise doesn't have to be a chore. It can be something that you actually look forward to.
Right. And that's the key. When you find an activity that you enjoy, it stops feeling like an obligation and it becomes something that you genuinely want to do.
Exactly. And speaking of things we enjoy, let's circle back to the topic of food. We talked about mindful eating, making healthy choices. But I'm curious to know, what are those like delicious, nutrient-rich meals that the Mayo Clinic recommends?
Oh yeah, well, one of my favorite tips is to eat the rainbow.
I've heard that before.
It's a fun way to make sure you're getting a variety of fruits and vegetables in your diet. Each color represents different vitamins and minerals.
Right.
So the more colorful your plate is, the more nourishing it is for your body.
I love that. It's like turning mealtime into an art project.
Right. And it's a great way to get kids excited about healthy eating, too.
Sure.
And don't forget about whole grains.
Oh, yeah, those are important.
They're packed with fiber, which keeps you feeling full and satisfied. So swap out that white bread for whole wheat or try quinoa instead of rice. You'll be amazed at how delicious healthy food can be.
Okay, I'm officially inspired to revamp my meal plan.
Good.
But let's be real, even with the best intentions, there are going to be times when we slip up. Those moments when temptation wins and we reach for that extra slice of cake or skip our workout.
Right. It happens.
How do we navigate those inevitable bumps in the road?
First and foremost, don't beat yourself up about it.
Okay.
Remember what we talked about earlier? Self-compassion is key. So instead of dwelling on that slip-up, acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on.
It's about treating ourselves with the same grace and understanding that we would offer a friend.
Exactly. We wouldn't tell a friend that they were a failure for indulging in a treat or missing a workout.
Yeah, you're right.
We'd encourage them to get back on track and remind them of all the progress they've made.
It's so easy to get caught up in that all-or-nothing mentality. But it's important to remember that one slip-up doesn't derail the entire journey.
Absolutely. It's about focusing on that bigger picture and remembering why you started this journey in the first place.
Speaking of remembering our why, I'm curious, are there any specific techniques or strategies that can help us stay connected to those motivations, especially when those cravings and temptations start to creep in?
One technique that I find really effective is visualization. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, having achieved your weight loss goals. How do you feel? What are you doing? What's changed in your life?
I can see it now. I'm running a 5K with my dog, feeling energized, confident.
Exactly. Tap into those positive emotions, those feelings of accomplishment and pride. Let them fuel your determination and remind you of what's possible.
It's like creating a mental movie trailer for our future selves.
Right. And the more vivid and detailed that trailer is, the more powerful it becomes. Another helpful technique is to create a vision board.
Oh, I love vision boards. It's like a visual representation of your goals.
Exactly. Gather images, quotes, anything that inspires you and represents your weight loss journey.
Okay.
Put it somewhere you'll see it every day, like your bathroom mirror or your refrigerator.
Oh, I like that. So it's a constant reminder of what you're working towards.
Exactly.
And it can boost your mood, your motivation, especially on those days when you're feeling less than inspired.
Absolutely. Another tip I find helpful is to keep a gratitude journal.
Oh, those are amazing. I've heard that those can really shift your perspective, help you appreciate the good things in your life.
They really can. Each day, write down a few things you're grateful for, even small things like a sunny day or a delicious cup of coffee. It's about shifting your focus from what you lack to what you have.
And I imagine that can be incredibly empowering, especially when you're feeling discouraged or overwhelmed.
It can be a game changer. When you focus on the positive, it makes it so much easier to stay motivated and committed to your goals.
You know, we've talked a lot about the mental and emotional aspects of weight loss, but I'm curious to delve a little deeper into the practical side of things.
Okay.
Like, what are some concrete steps that people can take to get started?
One of the most important things is to set realistic goals. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Yeah.
Start with small, achievable changes, like drinking more water, adding an extra serving of vegetables to your meals, or taking a 15-minute walk each day.
It's about building momentum, creating habits that stick.
Exactly, and don't be afraid to experiment. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to weight loss.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another. So try different things, see what feels good for you, and adjust as needed.
It's about finding your own unique path to a healthier lifestyle.
Exactly.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs along the way. But the important thing is to keep moving forward, one step at a time.
Absolutely, and be patient with yourself.
I love that perspective. It takes the pressure off and allows for a more, gentle and sustainable approach.
And that's what it's all about, right? Creating a lifestyle that nourishes your body and soul, a lifestyle that you can sustain for the long haul.
I completely agree. Okay, I'm feeling incredibly motivated and inspired after this conversation. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
That's great.
Yeah, it's no longer about deprivation and punishment, but it's about making choices that align with my values and my goals.
And that's the key. When you approach weight loss from a place of self-love and acceptance, it becomes less about shrinking your body and more about expanding your life.
I couldn't agree more. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but I want to make sure we leave our listeners with some actionable takeaways. What are a few key tips or strategies that they can implement right away to kickstart their weight loss journey?
Okay, great question. Here are a few things that come to mind. Start by identifying your why. What are your personal motivations for wanting to lose weight?
Mm-hmm.
What are the benefits that you'll experience?
Okay.
Set realistic goals.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to do too much too soon. Aim for 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week. Find your support system. Surround yourself with people who will encourage and motivate you. Make gradual changes to your diet. Focus on adding more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains to your meals. Incorporate movement into your daily life. Find an activity you enjoy and make it a part of your routine. Practice mindful eating. Pay attention to your hunger and fullness cues and savor each bite. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. Remember, setbacks are inevitable. Forgive yourself and get back on track.
Those are fantastic tips. I especially love the emphasis on self-compassion and finding joy in the process.
It's not about deprivation and punishment. It's about making choices that feel good for you, that support your overall well-being.
Absolutely. As we're wrapping up this deep dive, one thing that kind of strikes me is that we haven't really talked about the social side of weight loss.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, food is such a big part of, how we connect with other people.
Right.
Birthdays, holidays, just catching up with friends. Like, it often revolves around eating.
Right.
So how do you navigate that without feeling isolated or like you're missing out?
That's a really good point. Food does play a huge role in our social lives, and it can definitely be challenging when you're trying to make changes to your eating habits.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you have to avoid all social gatherings altogether.
Yeah.
It's about, finding ways to participate
Yeah.
without feeling deprived or feeling pressured.
So what does that look like practically speaking? Any tips for kind of gracefully navigating those situations where there's going to be a lot of tempting food around?
One strategy is to plan ahead. So if you know you're going to a party or a restaurant, check out the menu beforehand and choose a healthy option that you'll actually enjoy.
Yeah, that's great.
That way you're not, stuck feeling like you're settling for a diet plate.
Right. And it takes away that kind of last-minute decision fatigue. When you're there and everything looks so good, you're like, I don't know what to choose.
Exactly. Another tip is to focus on connecting with people rather than the food.
Great
So,
point.
engage in conversations, participate in activities, and really just be present in the moment.
Yeah.
You'll find that the food kind of becomes less central to the whole experience.
It's like shifting your attention from what you're eating to who you're with and like what you're doing.
Exactly.
I love that. It takes the pressure off feeling like you have to eat to be social.
Right. And don't be afraid to communicate your needs to your friends and family, Let them know that you're making these changes to your lifestyle, that you'd appreciate their support, and most people are going to be understanding and accommodating.
Absolutely. And if they're not, then maybe it's time to kind of reevaluate those relationships. True friends will support your journey, even if it means making adjustments to the usual routine.
Exactly. Speaking of adjustments, let's talk about the long game.
Okay.
We talked about making these sustainable changes, but how do you stay motivated and prevent those old habits from creeping back in?
Yeah, I think that's something that so many people struggle with. You lose the weight, you're feeling great, and then slowly but surely, those cravings and temptations start to resurface.
It's like a game of whack-a-mole with your old habits.
Exactly. So how do we break free from this cycle?
Well, the Mayo Clinic, they emphasize the importance of ongoing self-monitoring.
Okay.
And it's not about obsessing over every calorie, but just kind of checking in with yourself regularly to make sure you're still on track.
So like those regular weigh-ins or tracking your food intake,
Yeah.
would that fall under this category?
Those can be helpful tools for some people,
Okay.
but it's more about, just being mindful of your choices
Yeah.
and making adjustments as needed.
So it's almost like being your own health advocate.
Exactly. Tuning into your body's signals, listening to what it needs.
I love that. It's about empowering yourself to make those healthy choices for the long haul.
Right. And it's also about celebrating those victories along the way,
Yes.
no matter how small they may seem.
Oh, absolutely.
Acknowledge your progress and give yourself credit for all the hard work you're putting in.
Yeah, those little wins, those are what keep us going.
Right.
They fuel our motivation. They remind us that we are capable of achieving our goals.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to reward yourself for those accomplishments.
Now, when you say reward, you're not talking about diving headfirst into a tub of ice cream, right?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Think of rewards that align with your healthy lifestyle.
Okay.
So maybe it's a new workout outfit or a massage or a weekend getaway that involves hiking or other activities that you enjoy.
It's about treating yourself with kindness, but in a way that also supports your well-being.
Exactly. And it's about remembering that this journey is about so much more than just the number on the scale. It's about, feeling good in your own skin, having more energy, improving your health, and living a life that is full of joy and purpose.
I think that's a beautiful message to end on. It's about embracing the process, celebrating the victories, and remembering that true health and happiness, it really comes from within.
And knowing that you're not alone on this journey, there are so many other people who are striving to live healthier lives, and we can all support and inspire each other along the way.
So to our listener out there, we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and a renewed sense of motivation.
Yes.
Remember to start with those small steps, be kind to yourself, celebrate every victory, and if you ever need support or encouragement, don't hesitate to reach out.
We're all in this together.
Exactly. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
See ya!